We are so excited to be with you today to talk about Friendship Day or Best Friends Day. I don't know. Either way it applies. So I'm Macy Yates. This is Caitlin Cruz, Nicole Helm, and Jackie Ashenden. And we are talking to you about friends because we're friends. And we've also written 3 books together. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of background into how the anthologies that we've done in the Jasper Creek series came together. And first of all, it comes from the fact that we're friends. I was having a very silly late night text conversation with Nicole, which is not an unusual thing. And I don't even remember how it came about, but somehow we ended up talking about ghost goats, which did not end up being in the original anthology. I said as a joke, and the pitch will be, it's the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but the farmhouse is the pants, meaning that there's a farmhouse for all seasons that fits every heroine who comes into it. And I couldn't stop thinking about that. So the next day I was driving and I used my little text to speech and I texted Megan because Megan, who also writes as Caitlin Cruz, and I'm going to do that because that's her name. And I forget. But she answers to both. So I asked her if she had any time and wanted to maybe possibly write or pitch an anthology because I thought this was a good idea. And then I texted Nicole and texted Jackie and was like, what if we pitched this anthology about these cousins who go to a farmhouse and each of them meets the cowboy of their dreams in their season at the farmhouse. And that became our first anthology, A Cowboy for All Seasons. And since then we've been back to Jasper Creek 2 more times, total of 3 times. And with a good old fashioned cowboy and Sweet Home Cowboy, which just came out. And we have so much fun with these. And I know it's kind of they're an anthology, but they're different than some of the other collections of novellas that you have out there in that the stories are really tightly connected. And so, Megan, do you want to talk a little bit about how we kind of write all together?
Well, this is a question that we get a lot because a lot of people are like, okay, so do you have other people come in and write the dialogue for their characters in your book, which is something that sometimes happens, I think, when people do sort of linked projects, but not in this case. One of the things that sort of comes out of the friendships that we have is that we know each other's voices, mostly because we scream at each other a lot in all caps in our texts. And so things that will happen will be like Jackie, who lives in New Zealand, will not be awake while we're thinking we're hilarious, texting at each other. But then I have to go write a scene. So I'll just write a scene for Jackie's heroine that I kind of think would be the kind of scene that Jackie might write. And we are very familiar with each other's work. We've been reading each other for a long time. We've done group projects of various descriptions. We've been basically entwined in each other's writing for a very long time. We also talk about writing with each other a lot. We're sort of the people that we bounce our writing ideas off of. So all of that sort of comes together when we've created a world to allow us to kind of jump into each other's characters and inhabit them a bit. I have not found that there's a whole lot of rewriting of the dialogue. Every now and again, maybe there's a slight character thing, or maybe what she's wearing in the scene, but mostly we're pretty good at, we don't do head hopping, but we can jump into each other's heads pretty well.
I definitely agree with that. It's like, I've done quite a lot of
It's magic.
There's not really another way to explain it, that sometimes the chapters come around and my heroine is in it and it's like one of you has added something that gives me something better to work with, and it not only feels authentic, but it feels like it improved the story.
That's the best part, when you haven't actually gotten to write yours yet. I seem to feel like I'm always the last one to write something and they've all written my character, so I just, oh great, well I'll just use that.
That's the best part, is having everybody else write your character, so you don't actually have to do anything.
Right, so you're like, you've made all those decisions, I just go with it. All right, great.
Yeah, so Nicole, do you want to speak a little bit to how we kind of make it cohesive? I feel like people want to know a lot. Do we have elaborate binders?
Right. And I think, what Megan said about us being really familiar with each other's work is such a huge part of making the stories cohesive. And they are cohesive. It's like reading one book, even though it's 4 novellas, because you kind of have to know what happens to the other ones right away. It all connects. And a lot of that is And like Megan said, magic. It's something that happens naturally because we are such good friends and we are so familiar with each other. We've all written a lot of books and read a lot of each other's books. And I think that, you know, we have, even though we're very good friends in any friend group, there's a lot of different personalities. So we have people who are willing to spearhead the Google document with organization in it.
Only one person.
Certain things. But yeah, so it's
Used to be a teacher. I'll let you guess which one.
Yeah.
But most of it, that's just like little details that are after the fact, because the most important part, and I think one of the reasons we're good friends and one of the reasons we work so well together is that we feel the same about writing, particularly a romance novel. So we think that motivation and character is super important, and that's the most important thing. And all those little things about like timelines and character hair color being right and all that stuff is kind of secondary, and that having like one organized person to kind of collate all that stuff works, but it's never the important part. The important part is writing good books that fit each other and connect to each other, and that's something that I think comes very naturally from just knowing each other very well.
Yeah.
And I like another question that we get a lot, and I'm going to direct this at you, Jackie, is how do we come up with like the different ideas, the themes for the novellas, and then the novellas like themselves?
Well, being in New Zealand, I am 5 hours and a day, I think, 5 hours behind, but also a day ahead. But anyway, these guys wake up really early and start chatting, and I'm still asleep. So by the time I wake up, I usually have like a full synopsis of the book that I'm going to write, the names of my characters, the appearance, and, you know, occupation. So actually, you know, I don't even have to do anything. I don't have to come up with any ideas myself, which is great.
You know, the great thing about working together is that, or, you know, caring about writing the way we do, is that it's the story that matters, not our character names or what the themes are. It's that we're all going to sit down and write our version of that story.
We also think about stories the same way, though, too, because if someone's like, I think that actually it's going to be her older brother's best friend, we're like, oh, yeah, okay. And just can sort of like shift instantly into a different trope, because we know exactly how we can fit all the pieces together because we've done it before, because we think about stories in the same way. So it's not, I know that sometimes I've been in projects with other people who think about stories in different ways, which is perfectly valid, but it is more difficult to kind of get that to feel seamless because we don't think about it the same way.
I mean, I think we all have the same sensibility when it comes to writing romance, and I think we all trust each other. If someone comes in and says, "Oh, well, let's do it this way," no one says, "Oh, no," unless it's utterly ridiculous. But we usually get on board with it.
Utterly ridiculous. We're like, add another chicken.
Yeah. Sorry, or a miniature pony or something. Or
what
ferret.
If they had a day a week where they did sister stuff, but it was like very like, yes. That.
Actually, I tell a lie. Sometimes I go no, and everyone says, yes, we're going to do that, Jackie. I wake up in the morning, and sure enough, that's what we're going to do.
Well, everyone else has already done it, Jackie, so.
We all have goals left behind. And so actually it worked out really well because we were all on Zoom anyway, because we have been talking about our 4th anthology in the Jasper Creek series, and we are very excited about this one because it's a little different. Because all of our other ones, they've all been friends or family.
Mm-hmm. Now they're childhood enemies.
Yes. Or the childhood enemies who are coming back to their old summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, of course, some super hot cowboys and
lawmen.
Yes, lawmen cowboys, and they are gonna fall in love with our little former bad girl heroines. So that we will see how many animals Nicole and I get away with adding.
Jackie and I are like, no more animals. Zero
animals in my book.
And then there's a house full of chickens, so that just happens.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to that, and it really, books are just the best thing, and that I get to read books written by my friends is my favorite thing, and getting to write books with my friends is something that I couldn't even have imagined would happen when I thought about being a writer, which was kind of beyond my scope of dreams anyway. This is just a ridiculously fantastic perk on top of everything else. It's always a joy to work with them and to talk about the amazing projects that we do together.
And we love these books so much, but one of the great things is how much readers love them too. And so to get them to sort of be involved in the same things and looking for the same chicken items that, it fills me with endless joy that we get to write them this way, that readers respond to them in the way they do. And we're just so grateful that we get to write more.